Great to be here. Thank you to CJI for inviting us. I think it's the obligatory thank you, but it's very heartfelt that we're invited to come and speak to you guys today. The event itself is one of the most eagerly anticipated networking events of the Business Aviation calendar. I think we can all agree on that. So it really is a pleasure to be here. In private aviation, connectivity really has never been more closely linked to the overall experience of private air travel. Our expectation is that we can stay connected wherever we are, whether we're at home, we're at work, we're traveling, and more so especially on our private aircraft. And as we know from feedback from our customers, connectivity can significantly make a positive or negative impression on the overall experience of using a jet. On the good side, absolutely, it can increase and boost productivity, helping our clients to stay connected with their world. But on the downside, if the connectivity is not performing as per expectations, then that can have a negative effect on the whole experience. So over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to touch on the value that connectivity brings to private aviation. We're going to look at the trends that are driving the importance of having connectivity on board an aircraft and what that means for us as a provider. We're going to look at the fast-moving network operator landscape and how that's changing to meet the customer demand that we're seeing. We're going to look at where the value of the ecosystem and connectivity sits with private aircraft. And then we're going to wrap all of that up and sort of see what we need to do as service providers to enable us to facilitate that. I pressed the button hoping all of our fonts are visible. So some exciting news for us. In December last year, Gogo completed the acquisition of Satcom Direct. It was a really complementary fit. Both businesses very customer focused, both very support driven in their outlook. Gogo traditionally has served the light to medium jet sector or aircraft sector, predominantly in North America using their air-to-ground network, whereas Satcom Direct focused on Satcom solutions for the heavier jets through to VVIP wide bodies globally. So there really wasn't too much crossover. And so now as a combined entity, we're serving around 11,000 aircraft, over 100 countries, with full cockpit and cabin solutions. And the new company's combined portfolio means that potentially any aircraft can have a tailored solution from us, regardless of its size, its location, its mission, its budget, or if there are any special requirements that the customer has. So we've put together a best-of-breed portfolio, which leverages the strength of proven networks, geo networks like Viasat and Intelsat, and also OneWeb and Iridium. And now we can add to that portfolio the air-to-ground network in North America. So this gives us the capability to give global solutions on multi-orbit solutions for our customers. This puts us in a unique position, as I say. We're now truly the only global multi-orbit, multi-band in-flight connectivity provider, which enables us to respond to our customers' demands wherever they are. And we're able to take our connectivity portfolio, which is important for adding the value that we're talking about within the actual air travel, with our hardware, our software, and our infrastructure to synchronize the aircraft with ground operations and to make sure that we can provide the best possible experience at every level. So we're really excited about what the future holds for us as a new organization. And with our Galileo LEO service, using the OneWeb network, we'll be launching that in the coming months to platforms of all sizes. If we look at the general internet usage trends, we can get a really good picture as to how our customers, our passengers, are using the services on board the aircraft. So on a global terrestrial basis, The number of active mobile internet users is now sitting at around 4 billion, up from a reported 3.8 billion in the last year. Applications, I'm sure will come as no surprise to you, are becoming more data hungry, which is being driven predominantly by the video that's embedded in them and enriching the applications. So for example, if you're browsing social media, if you spend an hour on Facebook, our customers are using around 120 megabytes per hour. If they're using TikTok, for example, which is all video-based, and my kids love posting their videos up, you'll be using around 800 meg per hour. So much more video concentrated. We can also see that video-on-demand services like Netflix, Prime, Disney, YouTube all continue to grow in popularity and demand. And unsurprisingly, the use of video calling and video conferencing apps like FaceTime, WhatsApp, Teams, WebEx have seen a massive increase in popularity, particularly following COVID and the lack of mobility that we had around that time. So with all of this video the norm, the average smart device now is using reported around 20 meg per month. So really heavy use, and that is expected to double over the next couple of years. 10% of users are generating 70% of the traffic, and 80% of that traffic that is generated is derived from video-based social networking and streaming services. And these usage trends, they are replicated on board our aircraft and our customer aircraft. And so when we look at data from across our fleet of our high-speed data customers, those customers on average are using around 1.7 gig of data per flight hour. So it gives you an idea as the type of volume of data that's now shifting on an aircraft. If we look back only a couple of years, that has nearly doubled in terms of the usage. And so there is an expectation that they can access all of the services and systems that they had done on the ground. If you're on an aircraft, our customers are streaming video-on-demand services. If they spend an hour doing that, that is going to use around 2.8 gig of their data. And if they just happen to be browsing, shopping for wherever they're going, on using Amazon and things like that, they'll be using around 200 meg. So all of these things combined in our daily use of internet and our customers' use of internet increases exponentially as time goes by. So we need to make sure that we're capable of delivering that on the aircraft. The network operators have done a fantastic job of investing in their networks and making sure that they provide the capacity that's needed to meet and exceed the demands that our customers are bringing. And they continue to add capacity. Geo networks like Viasat and Intelsat, are already capable of providing over 25 megabits per second to the aircraft. And when we actually look at what our customers' usage demands are, we can see that even our heaviest users, so users in our 95th percentile, their average demand on the aircraft, it sits at around 12.5 megabits per second. Our 90th percentile, that drops down to around 4.3 meg per second. And I don't want to get bogged down in speed, only in so much as to say that capacity and speed with the networks is no longer really an issue. With the right network, with the right plan in place, we're already able to deliver 99% of customers' demand requirements with the networks that are there. And then with the addition of LEO networks like OneWeb providing up to 200 megabits per second, there is plenty of room for us to grow with the current technology that we have. So now really it's about providing consistency and reliability across a globally supported network. And as you'll see, and I'm sure you'll know, there are many networks to choose from. So we've entered into a really exciting time in terms of business aviation connectivity. The rate of change that we've seen in the satellite segment over the last couple of years has increased at incredible pace. The incumbent geo network providers, as I mentioned, Viasat and Intelsat, they're continuing to invest, they're continuing to raise the bar, and they're looking for ways in which they can continue to meet the demands, requirements of all of our customers. They're also adding more satellites into their networks and looking to increase capacity, coverage, and capability across their whole networks. But there's many new entrants into the space, particularly in the LEO realm. Eutelsat OneWeb is entering the business aviation market with its 600-plus satellite constellation, which is built from the ground up with aviation mobility in mind. Starlink, I'm sure you've all heard of in some way, shape or form, has also entered the LEO space. They currently have around 7,000 satellite constellation with ambitions to grow that to 30,000 over the next couple of years. Amazon Kuiper is also joining the LEO revolution. They have a couple of satellites currently in orbit which are in test phase. They also have ambition to increase that constellation to 3,000 plus satellites beyond 2026. So ultimately, all of this activity leads to lots of choice for our customers. It leads to lots of competition between the network operators. And unfortunately, it can lead to a lot of confusion for our customers in terms of what is the right solution for them, what is the right investment for us to make in terms of our next step on the aircraft. And so it's our job as service providers to make sure that we're protecting the investment that our customers are making, that we're maximizing the technology advances that the network operators are putting on the table, and we're helping our customers to make informed decisions as to what the right solution is for them as a business. So when we look specifically at which areas connectivity is providing additional value to aircraft operations, when we look at business productivity, so for a private jet to be used as a business tool really effectively, it needs to have some kind of connectivity. And so our connectivity enhances a private jet or corporate jet's ability to be used as a business tool. Simply put, we enable access to emails, corporate life goes on while you're flying through the air. You're able to close deals, you're able to speak to customers, you're able to video conference as you would do on the ground with the new technology that's available. So adding massive value to the business tool that is the private jet. Outside of that, we've established that connectivity really is a key ingredient in a customer's overall private flying experience. The expectation is that they can stay connected, and if I'm flying on a private jet, then I expect that I can stay connected in the same way on the ground. Is more and more so becoming the standard. Improved decision making. A lot of our customers are taking the data, and there are thousands of data points and data sets that are being generated by modern aircraft. They're taking the data to increase operational efficiency, to use that data to create actionable and accurate data which can inform decision making in real time around the aircraft. So whether that's pilots using real-time weather information or flight route situational awareness, or whether it's communication with ground teams to prepare for the principal to land ahead of time, or as one of our key European customers utilizes the fuel information data, they gather this and they use this to monitor their fuel efficiency across the fleet, driving efficiency and saving costs across their business. So the data points really can make a huge difference and add huge value to the overall operation of the aircraft, and we're an enabler of that data. Competitive advantage. I mean, when we say that, our customers in terms of operators are always looking for ways in which they can differentiate, particularly if they're charter operations. The connectivity on board an aircraft really can be the difference between selecting one or another, and provides the ability to protect the pricing premiums that you have around those efforts. And it can be the difference between attracting a new customer and keeping a customer, especially when competitors are providing good connectivity across a wide range of their fleet. And I think it's been mentioned a couple of times already, and I've seen it mentioned within CGI, as a way to protect the resale value, not just of a whole jet sale, but from a charter, as we've said before. When customers are looking at a new aircraft, when they're making a decision as to who to fly with, oftentimes connectivity is really quite high on their wish list in terms of what they need on board the aircraft. And so making sure that you have that capability with a robust, reliable, good connectivity experience, again, can help you to protect the value of those assets and the ongoing business through charter sales. So in order to support and deliver the value that connectivity brings through to private corporate aviation, we believe that there's a number of different things that need to be in place in order for us to be able to do that. So our ecosystem is built around 4 pillars. Our connectivity, as we've established, we need to make sure that we're offering customers best-in-class experience. And what I mean by that is everything is relative to the customer's own mission, budget, and what they're actually looking to achieve. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all. And we have to make sure that our connectivity, in whatever class that is capable of doing that. Our hardware typically will sit on board the aircraft either as a terminal or as a router, and that enables us to see much more of the data that's being generated from the aircraft. So in terms of troubleshooting, in terms of general communication, and the way in which we configure the onboard networks and the overall experience, really the hardware on board can be pivotal in making sure that the experience is well received on board. The software, which sits behind the connectivity and the hardware, typically is synchronizing every part of the aircraft. So this can be with our operating systems, ST Pro and Dash, for example, providing a window into the aircraft for real-time information and communication with the aircraft, but also in the mobile applications that are being delivered, which help crew to carry out first-line troubleshooting, help them to manage simply the networks on board the aircraft, and provide them with a safety net when, being stared down by the principal in the back of the aircraft because the connectivity is not connecting for a certain period of time. And then we have the infrastructure. So the cybersecurity, it stands to reason now that as aircraft become more and more capable and we're utilizing the services much more freely, is that they become much more susceptible to cyber threats and cyber interrogation. Our customers, we're currently seeing around 5,000 cyber events, we'll call them, on a daily basis within our fleet of aircraft. And so the more and more our aircraft become capable, unfortunately, the more and more we need to make sure that we're protecting our principals and passengers and the data that's being transmitted across the aircraft. And our support infrastructure is key. So having a trained human being that you can call 365, 24/7 is a real part of what we do and how we deliver services through to our customers. And I think that in order to support the value and the overall connectivity experience, being able to build those relationships and have that support infrastructure behind you is a real important part of what we deliver. So, that was a whistle-stop tour of where connectivity sits, where the value within each of the different areas we see is important, and from our customer standpoint, the type of data requirements that they have. And hopefully you found that interesting. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Yes, Charles, you've got a question?
We'll do it live. Okay, I suppose reporters have to be here to ask the somewhat edgy questions, but you've started your presentation mentioning the takeover of Satcom Direct. Some might say, well, that's reduced competition, it's made you such a dominant player that there's less choice. Is that the case in any way at all? And what's stopping you from getting complacent and not focusing on competitive urges to produce better value and service?
Well, I don't think that from a competition standpoint, we're in any danger of creating a monopoly. I think that with other service providers in the field that are looking after aircraft, they have a number of solutions which again are attractive. So I think there is still choice for our customers out there. I think with competition that's in the market at the moment and the fresh way in which it's being approached and a non-traditional way with Starlink and the way that they've approached entering the market, I think that from our perspective, this provides us with a really strong position to be able to maintain and support the existing network operator relationships and, in the best interest of our customers, provide that level of choice which is required in the market.
Two. Just on the Satcom Direct as well, they used to make a big play out of the security element of what they provided and as a key differentiator. Both yourself and your competitors presented yesterday, security was in the presentation, but it seems to be a very low priority or a very low ask from your customers. Is that because they just expect it to be baked in, so it's not something they're making a fuss about, or is it that they're prioritizing faster, more reliable connectivity over any concerns that they may have about the security of what they're doing on board?
I think it's twofold. I think you're partially right. I think there is an expectation that as a service provider, you're able to provide some level of protection out of the gate. But I also think that there is an education piece which we need to do, and a core part of our portfolio is around the synchronized, connected and protected aircraft. It's what we offer through to our customers as part of our mission. And so making sure that we're educating them on, okay, you've now got a really capable aircraft which is actually able to perform as you would do in a terrestrial setting. You now need to make sure that you've got that protection in place. So our approach for cybersecurity is effectively you have a threat monitoring, which is a basic cyber solution. And then for customers which are really intent on locking down or protecting end-to-end communication on the aircraft, we have layers which we can put on top, which are additional service wraps as part of our infrastructure that can do that. But they tend to be conversations that we'll have with individual customers. And early on, we'll find out really what their appetite is for that. But it should be part of every conversation that we're having with customers.
Okay, David, final question. Let's talk about air-to-ground. And I know you came from Satcom, but is Gogo still committed to providing air-to-ground for all of the US?
Absolutely.
So if the US is to grow?
Yeah, I think within 20 miles of the border, you'll get perfect ATG.
And Greenland. And on that note, thanks so much. Thank you.